In the sprawling, sun-baked heart of Texas, where futures are forged in a refinery fire, there lived a man whose world was defined by speed, scale, and absolute acquisition. Blake Sterling. He commanded the sprawling heart of Texas, his life a relentless, profitable pursuit of more. He believed money could buy anything, until he met the one thing it couldn't: unyielding honesty. This is the story of a titan who walked into a casual business lunch and walked out changed, captivated by a waitress whose value system was richer than his entire empire. Our heroine is Clara Hayes, 28, sharp, beautiful, and working double shifts at the Gilded Spur, an upscale Austin establishment owned by one of Blake's business friends. Clara lived simply, her life measured in tips and bus routes, but her spirit held an inner light that money couldn't replicate. Blake, closing a deal over dessert, stood up, confident, distracted, already mentally back in the boardroom. But Clara, moving to clear his dishes, noticed it: his wallet. Thick, dark leather, heavy with the weight of a fortune. She said, "Gotta catch him. That's someone's rent, someone's mortgage. Not mine to judge, just mine to return." She bolted after him, the wallet clutched in her hand, weaving through tables. She called his name, once, twice, her voice clear, but too soft for his world of private conversations and expensive cars. "Sir, excuse me, wait." He entered his massive black sedan and began to pull away. Just as her hope faded, he suddenly braked, pulling over a short distance away. Blake had stopped, not because he heard her, but because his hand instinctively checked his pocket. He turned to see her, a silhouette in the late afternoon sun, her hair slightly messy, holding the heavy wallet. He hadn't noticed her before, and the sight struck him with a force that felt utterly alien. Blake, stunned, disbelieving. "I've never seen her before, and she's chasing down a wallet that could solve a month of her problems. This is impossible." His movements slow, his polished confidence momentarily shattered. He took the wallet, feeling the weight of the moment more than the weight of the cash. "You ran after me. Thank you. This kindness deserves a reward. Please, take this. It's the least I can do." Clara, quietly, but with absolute firmness, "No, thank you, Mr. Sterling. It's not a kindness, it's just what you do. I don't need a reward for doing the right thing. Have a good evening." She turned and walked back to the restaurant, not running, but with an unwavering dignity. He stood there, speechless, the crisp bills still extended in his hand. He left, the drive home lost to a whirlwind of a single thought. He had been utterly dismissed by the one thing money usually couldn't buy: a pure, simple heart. "I can't let this go. I simply can't." Blake Sterling spent the next 2 weeks becoming a regular at the Gilded Spur. Not for business, but for a glimpse of the waitress named Clara. She was professional, polite, and completely untouchable. He tried every angle. A generous tip, returned. A complex compliment, met with a dry, professional thank you. Finally, he worked up the nerve to ask her out, standing awkwardly by her station. "Clara, this is ridiculous. You are the most intriguing person I've met in years. Can we go on a date? Say yes." Clara, polite, but zero emotion. "Mr. Sterling, I appreciate the offer, but my schedule is full. I work nights." Blake, gently persistent. "Then lunch. A coffee. I'll buy you the whole coffee shop. What does it take for you to say yes?" The refusals continued. Yet, Blake noticed a subtle, hidden detail. Sometimes, when she thought he wasn't looking, her gaze would linger. A flicker of something, quickly masked by professional detachment. She was attracted to him. He knew it, but her resolve was absolute. Blake, being obsessed, said, "She's playing hard to get, but it's more than a game. She genuinely believes my world is toxic. I need to dismantle that belief, piece by piece." Finally, after a month of persistent, respectful pursuit, Clara relented. She sighed lightly. "Okay, Mr. Sterling. Fine. Lunch. Next Tuesday. 1 hour." Blake, victoriously, said, "And it's a date. My driver will pick you up." Clara said firmly, "No, I'll meet you. And I still work evenings, so nothing after 5. Their first date was electric. She talked about her dreams, not of wealth, but of community building and supporting local art. He listened, fascinated. He realized the idea of him was her resistance, but the man was intriguing her. The dates became regular, but the rule remained: never after 5 p.m. The man who owned the night, Blake, was relegated to the daylight hours. She always left abruptly, her mind clearly elsewhere, a quiet urgency in her movements. His curiosity soured into suspicion. Where does she go? She finishes their shift at 4 o'clock. She doesn't need to be home. Is she working another job? Or is she avoiding the night because she has a secret life? A secret man? Or worse? Blake thought. The dark side of his privileged world, the gossip, the assumptions, crept in. His mind conjured images of her being a night student, or perhaps a dancer. The thought, ridiculous and painful, consumed him. He needed to know the truth. One evening, after she abruptly ended their coffee date, Blake made a decision he never thought he'd make. He followed her. Clara didn't go home. She drove her small, unassuming car 20 minutes out of the fashionable district, turning onto a street lined with older, darker industrial buildings. She stopped at a long, unlit, warehouse-like structure. The suspense was almost unbearable. Blake, anxious, preparing for the worst, said, "This is it. This is where the secret is. The club. The second job that she's ashamed of." Clara unlocked the door, and the interior bloomed with a sudden, soft, golden light. Blake saw through the front window, and the truth hit him like a physical blow. It wasn't a club. It was a massive, makeshift kitchen and dining hall. Clara wasn't dancing for money. She was cooking and serving dozens of people. The homeless, the working poor, the lonely, the people the rest of the city had forgotten. Blake, overwhelmed and humbled, said, "A cookhouse. She runs a cookhouse. She dedicates every evening, every spare cent, to feeding others. That's why she won't take my money. That's her passion. That's her whole other life." Blake felt an overwhelming sense of shame for his suspicion, and an even greater surge of awe for her spirit. He walked in, abandoning all pretense of a spy. Clara looked up, stunned. Her face, usually so composed, was flushed with heat and surprise. The professional waitress was gone. This was Clara, the fierce protector of her community. Clara, low, quiet, a hint of steel. "Blake, you shouldn't be here. This is my private life." Blake's voice, rough with sincerity, said, "I know, and I'm sorry I followed you, but I had to know the truth. And the truth, Clara, is that you are the most remarkable person I have ever met." He didn't plead for a kiss or a date. He did what Blake Sterling does best. He offered a partnership. Blake earnestly said, "That small car of yours? It can't handle the supply runs. This kitchen is falling apart. I have resources, not to buy you, but to support your mission. Let me help you build this into what it deserves to be. Don't fight me on this, fight with me." Clara, surrendering, said to herself, "He sees the work. He sees the need. He sees me. And he's offering a hand, not a transaction." She looked at him, finally meeting his gaze without the barrier of professionalism or fear. The attraction she had hidden since the wallet incident flooded her eyes, mixed now with deep, powerful respect. "Okay, Blake," she said, "I won't turn away help that benefits them. But it's a partnership. We do this my way. And you work, too." Their love story didn't begin with a kiss, but with the clatter of a wrench as they fixed a faulty freezer. Blake Sterling found his new addiction, spending his evenings covered in flour and sweat, using his logistic skills to revolutionize the cookhouse. Clara Hayes found that wealth, when wielded with a good heart, could be a powerful tool, not a toxic threat. The oil magnate and the altruistic waitress taught each other the true meaning of value. He showed her the expanse of the world he could unlock. She showed him the quiet, deep satisfaction of selflessness. "You still owe me that original dinner, Clara. I'm taking you somewhere where you aren't allowed to carry anything heavier than a champagne flute." Clara, smiling, confident. "Only if you promise to be back here before 6 a.m. to organize the produce delivery. I need my partner, Sterling." This easy banter, born of weeks, spent covered in flour and shared purpose, had become their favorite evening ritual. Unfortunately, one of the evenings, Serafina interrupted their tender moment. Socialite, a rival's daughter, a woman from Blake's old shallow world, a symbol of everything he was leaving behind. Serafina, voice high, cold, dripping with venom. "Well, Blake Sterling, finally found you. The driver said you were here, but I honestly thought he was lying. You've been MIA from the board meetings and the Hamptons calls, but this is where you've been hiding." Serafina's eyes scanned the vast, industrial cookhouse, dismissing the warmth, the food, and the people with a single, contemptuous sweep of her gaze. Her focus then landed squarely on Clara, flour dust faintly visible on her cheek. Serafina, insulting, loud enough for the diners to hear. "And look, he's playing charity games with the serving staff. Darling, that dress will never recover from the smell of desperation in here. From private jets to a soup kitchen. What happened, Blake? Did the oil dry up, or did you just get bored of class?" The entire room, momentarily silent, waited for Blake's reaction. Clara stepped back, her face falling, convinced this public exposure would be the end, that Blake would be too embarrassed to defend her world. "She's right, this isn't his world. I'm going to ruin him." Blake's voice, deep and absolutely commanding, said, "Serafina, you should leave." Serafina gave a mocking laugh. "Oh, are you going to send your little kitchen assistant to clean up this mess?" Blake turned his back completely on Serafina, taking a determined step toward Clara. His eyes held only fierce protection and utter devotion. He took Clara's hand, a hand still slightly damp from washing dishes, and pulled her gently but decisively to his side. "You want to know why I'm here, Serafina?" Blake questioned. "Because everything you believe in, the empty glitz, the endless consumption, the polished facades, it's meaningless. I spent 30 years chasing shiny things. And here, with Clara, I found light. I found purpose. I found a true heart. And I would rather spend the rest of my life serving soup and fixing leaky pipes with this woman than spend another minute in your world of empty champagne glasses and fake smiles. Now, get out of my sight." Serafina, stunned by the absolute force of his rejection, retreated. The silent diners in the cookhouse erupted in soft applause and appreciative murmurs. The world had tested Blake, and he had chosen Clara's light over his own gilded cage. But the emotional cost had been high. Clara, though defended, felt responsible. "Blake, I'm sorry. I never wanted to drag you into this. I'm not your kind of person." But he gently placed his finger under her chin, making her look at him. "You are my kind of person, Clara. I was selfish to chase you when I should have been respecting your work. I was foolish to let that woman's poison hurt you. Please, forgive me. She has nothing to do with us. Everything about my life now is about earning the right to be here, beside you." Clara's fierce independence melted into absolute trust. She looked at the oil magnate, dirt under his fingernails and love in his eyes. "Well, Blake Sterling, you've got a lot of work to do. The industrial mixer is still broken. Get to it." Serafina's venom had failed to break their newfound bond. However, Blake was no fool. He recognized the cold fury in Serafina's eyes. He knew her kind didn't retreat, they regrouped. He planned ahead to safeguard their relationship, most especially to protect Clara and her world. Their night routine, the labor, the conversation, the quiet partnership, continued without interruption. While they walked away from the cookhouse one of the faithful nights after the last diner had left. For the first time, Clara opened up her heart completely, explaining the why behind her sacrifice. She spoke of her grandmother, a woman who lost everything but never let a single person go hungry. She talked about the power of a hot meal to restore dignity and the quiet satisfaction of seeing someone simply feel seen. It's not about charity, Blake. It's about keeping the light on. Showing people they matter even when the world tells them they don't. That kitchen, that's where I feel strongest. That's where I feel like I'm earning my place. Blake's voice, rough with emotion, said to her, "You don't have to earn your place with me, Clara. But I understand. It's more than a passion. It's a vocation. And I want to protect it. I want to protect you." Meanwhile, miles away in a cold, sterile high-rise, Serafina's humiliation had curdled into a dangerous, destructive rage. She wouldn't just leave. She would burn the source of Blake's devotion to the ground. She made a swift, ruthless call, a mission to extinguish Clara's light forever. They were walking back toward Clara's car when Blake's phone vibrated. Not a business text, but a frantic warning from his driver, who had been waiting nearby. Blake barely registered the words. The immediate, terrifying fear was enough. "We have to go. Now. Get in the car." They tore through the streets, the terrible weight of Blake's hidden world, the ruthless enemies, the dangerous stakes, finally pressing down on Clara. When they turned the corner onto the industrial street, the suspense was broken by a devastating sight. A pillar of black smoke clawed at the night sky. The cookhouse was on fire. No, Blake, my grandmother's stove. Everything, it's gone. Clara scrambled out, running toward the police tape and the inferno, tears streaming down her face. All her work, her vocation, her sanctuary, reduced to ash by the pettiness of the world she had refused to engage with. Blake caught her, holding her tightly as she wept. For Clara, this was the moment of complete, crushing defeat. For Blake, this was the final test. Clara pulled away, her voice raw, focused only on the insurmountable loss. "How do I recover this, Blake? The permits, the equipment. It took me years. Everything I fought for is just smoke." Blake didn't answer with sympathy. He answered with the calm, quiet assurance of a man who plans ahead and protects what he loves, revealing his deepest, most silent secret. "It's not smoke, Clara. Not everything. You said you wanted me to protect your vocation." The day after Serafina started sending veiled threats, I had my lawyers set up a complete non-profit infrastructure for the cookhouse, and I fully insured the building and all its contents, double the market value. Clara stared at him, realizing he had not only committed to her world, but had silently protected it from his own. He hadn't told her because he didn't want the gesture to feel like a transaction. He wanted it to be a safety net. Blake, tenderly reaching out to wipe a smudge of soot from her cheek. "You taught me that real value isn't shiny. I took care of the legal structure, Clara. The building is gone, but the mission, the foundation, and the money to rebuild, it's all there. We'll have a new kitchen, better than before." The next morning, Serafina was arrested after Blake's security team provided ironclad evidence of her hiring the arsonist. Justice was swift. The love between Blake and Clara, forged in the heat of a public test and tempered by the destruction of fire, grew deeper, stronger, and absolutely unbreakable. The light, Clara realized, was safe. And this time, she wasn't keeping it on alone. Their love story was no longer a game of chase. It was a vow of partnership. The rich man found his purpose, the independent woman found her support, and together, they began building an empire not of oil, but of unwavering light. If this story of true value and ultimate devotion resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more tales of love that defy expectations. Until next time. Thanks for watching.